Hi, it's me again. Welcome back to my channel. If you've never been here before, I'm Rachel. Don't forget to give me a subscribe and give this video a good old like. So, how you doing? Today I want to talk to you about crafting characters and crafting compelling and really in-depth characters. Creating your character is kind of easy and hard both at the same time, and I know that sounds really weird, but so most often people, when they create characters, create kind of a list of things about the character. They do a checklist. They write everything from what the character likes to eat, to their favourite item of clothing, to what season they like best, and that's all really good stuff. And it's good to know, but it doesn't really create an in-depth character. It might to you in your head because you know all these facts about them, but a lot of that stuff probably doesn't relate to your story. And your story is basically a plot with characters in it, but those characters are people with personality, and those personality is what makes your character pop off the page and allows the reader to have kind of a more in-depth relationship with them. And there's kind of like 4 things that make a really good character. So characters, obviously they need to have goals. Everyone will tell you the character needs to have a goal and conflict and all that stuff, but they also need to have something to lose, which is often the opposite of their goal. They also need to be likable by the reader, and they also need to have the ability to grow and develop as the story progresses. So at the moment, I'm currently watching Better Call Saul. Now, if you don't know what that is, it's a TV show, a spin-off from the series Breaking Bad. It's one of the side characters who everyone came to love, and we took a while to watch this because we thought that it might not do the characters justice, but we've literally just binge watched season 1 and we're into season 2 now, and it's amazing. And the reason for that is the way the writer Vince Gilligan has created Jimmy McGill, the character, because if this was a book, he would literally just pop off the page and it would be amazing, because I don't know, he's like real, and you spend time thinking about him when we're watching it, and that's what makes a character amazing, is someone that the reader, and in this case the viewer, will take away with themselves. So this is what you need to create for a character in your book. One of the cool things about TV characters, or any character in a book or whatever, is you can break them down and kind of like reverse engineer them and see what makes them brilliant. So I kind of want to do that a little bit just now with Saul Goodman, or Jimmy McGill as he's known. So when you meet him, he is Jimmy McGill, and he's a lawyer, and that's it, that's a fact. Now I could tell you he's got brown hair, he wears a cheap suit, he's got nice blue eyes, not very tall, blah blah blah, but that doesn't really tell you anything about who he is as a character. And so Vince Gilligan has given him so many in-depth things to bring him out. So Jimmy lives in his office, which is in the basement of like this beauty parlour, manicure parlour. He drives this beaten up car, he wears cheap suits, so that tells you that Jimmy is poor. And from those things alone, well, you know he's a lawyer because the sign on his door says he's a lawyer and it's handwritten on a piece of paper. It also tells you he's not a big hotshot lawyer. He's just like this poor lawyer trying to make it. But then Jimmy also has this best friend who works for a hotshot lawyer firm. She's not one herself, but that's her goal. He then has a brother who is a hotshot lawyer. He's kind of like the big lawyer. Everyone's afraid of him. Everyone listens to him. But his brother has a mental illness where he's convinced he's allergic to electricity. So he hasn't left in his house in about 18 months. And Jimmy cares for him, brings him food, makes sure he grounds himself before he goes into the house. You know, just looks after him, otherwise his brother would die. And then we also learn about Jimmy's past, where he was a little bit off the rails. And he was kind of a scammer, and you could see that if he stayed on the path he was going to go, he would probably end up in prison for a while. You know, he was going to do something illegal. You know, he's got this, he was into scamming people for money, so he'd find people in bars and scam them out of their money and then do a runner. And his brother kind of got him a job in the mailroom at the law firm where he works. Now, a little bit spoiler, Jimmy got his degree in an online university kind of thing, so it was all, I think it took him about 5 years to do it while he was in the mailroom. But all of this stuff, his best friend, his car, the way he got his degree, looking after his brother, they tell you more about his personality than if we listed the traits. So by caring for his mentally ill brother, and the way he does it and the way it's portrayed on the screen, we can see he's caring, compassionate, he's understanding. There's a part that comes where his brother Chuck, the doctors want to have him committed because obviously they realise he's got this mental illness, but Jimmy says no. Jimmy wants him to stay at home and doesn't think it's the right, and he carries on looking after him. So that says a lot about him. The best friend he has, Kim, she keeps Jimmy on the right path all the time. So because he's had this scammer past, he's not afraid to bend the rules. He doesn't go major criminal kind of thing, but he'll bend the rules and they get him in trouble. She's kind of there as the voice that keeps him into it. So we know that he's willing to bend rules. He's a bit of a risk taker. Sometimes he's impulsive and things like that. The getting his degree online while he was working shows that he's dedicated, he's determined, he wants to make something himself, he wants to be somebody, he wants to better himself. Showing his past, shows what kind of a guy he is. He was only scamming money, he never really hurt anybody, so he does care for people, and that comes through with what he does through the series. So this is what you kind of need to do with your character. So like I said right at the start, they need a goal, they need something to lose, they need to be likeable, and they need to have room to develop and grow. So with Jimmy, his goal is to make it as a lawyer and make something of himself. What he's got to lose is his brother's love, his best friends love, the people that do value him. He could end up, he's taken this little step into leveling his life up, but if he lost everything, he would end up back where he was and on that scamming route that was going to get him in prison. And he doesn't want to be there, and that's what he's got to lose. He's got to lose his progress. He's really likable. Like, he's charming, he's chatty, you can see that he's constantly trying, he tries everything, and it's funny, and he fails, and he always fails spectacularly, but he picks himself up and he tries again, and he just keeps going, and it makes him just likeable to the viewers. And then on the room to grow and develop, you can see, because he's at the bottom, so we've been at rock bottom when he was the scammer. But where we see him is like a step up from that. He's at the bottom of the lawyer pool. No one wants to, he's like this, people think of him as a sleazy lawyer that only the really petty criminals get assigned in the prisons because there's nobody else will take the case. He's that kind of lawyer. This is just, I'm on season 2 now, so there's 6 seasons, and if you've watched Breaking Bad, you know who Saul Goodman is by the time we see him there, because obviously he changed his name. He's going to grow and develop into that character. And it's really exciting to see, like, he's just had a major development. I won't spoil it, but he's been given this really good opportunity, and that's through his efforts, and it's making him grow. And you can see him learning lessons as he's failing, because there's other people. Kim is making him accountable, his brother, the people that are helping him. So, you can see the potential, and that's what makes him this whole round, full-bodied character, and this is what you need to do. So, when creating your characters, you're obviously going to have the basics. You're going to know their names, their eye colour, their hair colour, their height, their occupation, all that stuff. And that's fantastic. Their age, where they live, their accent, you need all that. But you need all this in-depth stuff too. So, for these examples, I'm going to use our character Ethan Stone. Now, he appears in our Death Dealer series. He is a bounty hunter for the Mages Council. So I write urban fantasy, so he's a magical bounty hunter. He hunts people who are using their magic illegally for illegal activities, or they're not supposed to be using their magic, and he brings them in to the Mages Council. And while that's, that's good, there's more to him than that. So he's a brother. He's a middle child. He's got an older brother and a younger sister. But to give him more depth, his brother is in an institution for the magically insane. His magic is very powerful, and obviously magic is a known thing in my world. So his brother's magic is very powerful, and he can't control it, and it's just setting stuff off. He's had to be institutionalized, and Ethan pays for that care. He pays to keep his brother in this institute, to have him looked after, and that's his job. Now, they've got a younger sister who went missing. She had an argument with Ethan one night, stormed out the house, and was never seen again. And this was a few years ago in Ethan's past. But it's this thing that haunts him. His younger sister's missing. He doesn't know if she's dead or alive. He blames himself because of the stupid argument they had. you know, he was being this overbearing big brother to her. It kind of, do you see how it kind of gives him a bit more depth, that he cares for his big brother, he's got the guilt of his little sister. He's also the son of an abusive mother. So his mother was the kind that had different men in and let them beat on her children, and she was drinking, and she, when they were teenagers, she decided she couldn't deal with Dalton, which is the older brother, so she ran out on them one day, and Casey, the sister, who was too young to look after herself, so it left Ethan with the responsibility of looking after his brother and sister. Obviously, he didn't want to alert the authorities to all this, so he kind of hid in the apartment where they'd been left by their mother, never told anybody that their mother had run out, got himself a job, was still going to school so that it looked like everything was right in their world, and supported them, brought his sister up, looked after his brother, put himself through to get his bounty hunter license, got this job as a bounty hunter. Basically everything about him has been to support his brother, look after his sister, and obviously now eventually find her. But those things in his life show us things about him, and so they're his goals. His goal is to look after Dalton and find Casey. And that's his goals in the story. And obviously the thing he's got to lose is that if he fails Dalton, instead of being in this private institute where he's really looked after, he would end up in a government-owned institute that would be like a prison. He'd never get out of it. He'd be tortured, he'd be experimented on and all of that. And if he didn't find his sister, then he has that to live with, that his sister's missing and it's all his fault. So he has these things to lose. So this is why he keeps going and he's this bounty hunter. The things that make him likeable is he's a little bit sarcastic. He's kind of standoffish with people. He kind of keeps people at a distance, but he's also very caring. And if you're in his world, he cares for you. He will do anything for you. And he kind of gives you his all. So that makes him likeable to the readers. There's a few characters he meets and comes along with, and he looks after them, like he looked after Dalton, like he looked after Casey. You know, he puts everybody before himself, not to the point where he's detrimental to himself, but he will give his all to other people. And does he have room to develop? Yes. When we first meet Ethan, he's really closed off. He's living in this apartment by himself. He's juggling his job. He's trying to pay for Dalton. He's looking for Casey. He's got an aunt who he helps, but he doesn't open up to her. He finds it hard to trust people with his things. Like, he will trust them on one level, but he won't trust them with his internal things. And so he meets Harper, who she needs his help because she's had this mother who wanted to deny her magic through her childhood and medicated her so her magic wasn't there. And the magic's now starting to come out. And Ethan meets her and can see that she's going to get herself in trouble, and like I say, he cares for her, but in this caring for her, the development of their relationship kind of opens him up to the things he's been holding on to. So his guilt for Casey, his responsibility to Dalton, his guilt even for the relationship with his mother because he blames himself. You know, why weren't they good enough? Why didn't she stay? So he's got all this stuff that he has to work through that will develop through our stories with him. So this is what you need to do for your characters. So go ahead and write all your charts and lists and tell us who they are on the factual things, but then do these 4 things. What is your character's goal? Now, almost all stories are character driven. If you've ever seen the film A Knight's Tale, William's goal is to get home to his father. If you've read Lord of the Rings, Frodo's goal is to get the ring and throw it in the fire and get rid of it and destroy it. So they have goals. And then what does your character have to lose? Now, quite often they're the opposite of these goals because their goal is something big, and so if they lose something, it's going to be the opposite. So Lord of the Rings, if he fails to get rid of the ring, the bad guys are going to get hold of it and control everything. So what are the good qualities in your character that people will like, people will relate to? What makes them attractive to your readers? So if you look at Harry Potter, he's loyal to his friends, even sacrificing himself for them and getting himself in trouble. In the Hunger Games, Katniss Everdeen always gets up, no matter how many times she's knocked down. She's constantly up, down, but she's always there fighting. In the Lord of the Rings, we root for Samwise Gamgee because I know he's a side character, but he's kind of a main character because he's always helping Frodo. His goal is to get Frodo with the ring to his destination. And he never gives up. He's always fighting. So he's loyal, he's dependable, he's reliable. There's all these good qualities about him that the reader loves and can understand. And can your character grow and develop? And So growth and development doesn't always have to be good. It can be bad. So go back to the original thing, Breaking Bad, Walter White. If you've not seen it, he starts off as a school teacher, chemistry teacher. He's really boring, kind of a doormat. Everyone just dumps on him and stuff. But by the time we get to the end of season 5, the finale, he is one of the most wanted drug creators, distributors going, and the FBI want him. And he has this whole growth through the series, and you can just see it, how he, you know, it's not an overnight thing. That would never work from who he was to who he is, but he just gradually grows into this person that the drug world knows as a Heisenberg. And it's amazing, and that's what your character needs to do. They need to grow. So can they grow? Because if a character stays static on the page, it's not going to be as satisfying for the reader. So I mean, look at A Christmas Carol. Scrooge, at the beginning, he goes from greedy and selfish to altruistic, and it's the story development that does that, and it's the things he learns. So that's what your character needs to do. Anyway, that's it from me on character today. I'm sure I'll do more videos on character. I hope that helped you with creating your characters, but just remember you need those 4 things: a goal, something to lose, what makes them likeable, and can they grow and develop. And those are really key things to your character. But I'm going to head off now. I hope this video helped you. If you want to ask any questions, pop them down below. If there's anything else you do for characters or any resources that you use that are really, really helpful, send them to me, because I love learning. So just pop them in the comments and I'll have a look. But don't forget to subscribe, hit that thumbs up button. Don't forget to smash the notification bell so you can be notified every time I make a new video. And yeah, I will see you in my next video. Thanks for being here. Bye.